Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. My name is Ricky Hill, and I am your e-recruiter. And as always, I am so thrilled to be here with you tonight, getting ready to go into the next event here, part of our Discover UC Merced virtual series. As you can see on your screen tonight, we have another exciting episode here for SJV Prime Plus BS to MD pathway. My friend Noreen here will take over in just a moment to get us started into this presentation. But before we go that route, I would like to give you a couple of quick reminders about Zoom. If you need to adjust your audio settings, go ahead and take care of that in the lower left corner of your screen. If at any point you would like to adjust the size of your window and maybe you'd like to zoom into what we're showing you, go ahead and click on View Options in the upper portion of your window. Now, this event, we have a lot of information for you, so I do recommend that you grab your smartphone, get ready to start taking some pictures along the way of some of these popular slides that we will be showing you. There is a ton of information, but also, we also are going to be allowing you to ask your questions, and we will get to those live at the end. Go ahead and use that Q&A button that you do see on your screen. Send in those questions, and our content experts behind the scenes, as well as Noreen here and myself at the end, will be getting to those live. Now, we do have a quick poll that we'd like to launch for you, so let me go ahead and get that up on the screen. And if you can take a moment, there are just a couple of questions here, about 4 to be exact. You can go ahead and take a moment, scroll through, and give us your best response, and then we will share those results here in just a moment. And just a couple of other quick reminders as you are answering these questions. If you haven't yet had an opportunity to step foot on our beautiful campus, we will be giving you that opportunity in the chat box. We will be offering you that link so that you can get registered for an upcoming tour. And we also have many more events just like this one. Some of them are actually about this same topic, but they are overviews of the application. So we do have a couple of those coming up, and we will make sure to drop that link for you in the chat box as well. Now, of course, outside of the SJV Prime Plus MD program, we also offer other virtual events ranging in topics from financial aid to different academic programs, as well as the UC application. We have tons of those coming up for you that will actually walk through the application process. So we want to make sure that you are fully prepared and put your best foot forward. All right, Noreen, I'm going to go ahead and toss this over to you. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill. I am your e-recruiter. So thrilled to have you here. A huge welcome to you. I will go ahead and toss this over to my friend and colleague, Noreen.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Noreen. I'm the Medical Education Admissions Advisor, and we're here today to cover a lot of material to make sure you understand the program and you're getting the information that you need to decide about your journey to being a doctor. So as you can see here, many topics that we're going to go through, but we'll mainly detail the SJV Prime Plus, where it sits in terms of schools of medicine, the details about the program itself, as well as the timeline and application process, and then end with resources and reminders after covering the ideal applicant that we're looking for. First and foremost, when it comes to this program, what we're really concerned about is the distribution of doctors in the state. And as you can see here from the California Healthcare Foundation, there's a graphical numerical version and graphical version of where the doctors are in the state of California. As you can see, the majority of them are in bigger cities, high urban areas, or along the coast. And in terms of the Central Valley, we are not even at the state average compared to other areas, and we are below it in terms of our population in need. That is the same for specialists, and similarly, again, the Central Valley has the least amount of specialists in the state. So in terms of University of California, they wanted to address this issue in terms of health equity, healthcare access. And so they created PRIME programs, Program in Medical Education. The purpose of this program is to address that inequity and to focus on the regions of the state that need healthcare access, healthcare equity, healthcare advocacy, as well as education. Now, in terms of training future doctors, what we're interested in is those who want to be doctors for the areas of California that they need the most. And so for us, that's the San Joaquin Valley. Now, what I'm showing here is to highlight for you that the University of California has 6 schools of medicine. And the background information I want you to remember is that these 6 schools of medicine have PRIME programs. And so, as you can see, UC Merced is not a standalone school of medicine at this time, but we are a partner of UCSF. Also, in terms of schools of medicine, when people are applying to schools of medicine, it's not just that they're trying to get a medical degree, but they might be wanting to pursue other things related to medicine, like physician scientist or medical leadership or community and population health. So under the umbrella of the available programs in the School of Medicine, I want you to notice that PRIME is just one of several programs in the School of Medicine. And we, again, are specifically concerned about regions and populations in need. So again, just wanted to make sure you understood the difference in some of these, because as you're trying to think about applying to this program, and as we go through this webinar, you might decide that an regular MD program might be for you, or you might decide an MD PhD program might be for you based on your personal goals and direction academically or professionally. So historically, UC Prime programs actually started about 20 years ago with UC Irvine as the first school of medicine with a Prime program. And then, as you can see, again, all the schools of medicine have a Prime program. They've been adding it throughout the years. And that San Joaquin Valley Prime program started in 2011 at the UC Davis School of Medicine. UCSF took that program over because UCSF has the Fresno campus. And because of its regional location, they were going to be, more appropriate in serving the Central Valley, but still many of the UCs, UC Davis in particular, UCSF, and also is concerned about the San Joaquin Valley and the rural areas of California. So fast forward to 2023, UC Merced became a partner and a branch campus with UCSF Fresno, and this is the partnership that we have regarding SJV Prime Plus. When we reference Central Valley and we reference San Joaquin Valley, we're talking about the 9 counties shown here, with the furthest north as San Joaquin County and the furthest south as Kern County. So you'll hear me interchangeably say Central Valley or interchangeably say SJV. This is the area that we're interested in training future doctors for. Now, of all the Prime programs in the UC, the majority of them are traditional pathways to medicine, meaning you go and get your bachelor's somewhere else, or first, either a BA or BS, and during your spring of your junior year, an undergrad, you apply to medical school. This is the familiar and traditional route to medical school, and this slide is highlighting that SJV Prime Plus was born out of this program, where we wanted to train high school students right after graduation. Both of these pathways still exist. Both of these pathways are available to any of the students. And so if you're thinking about going elsewhere, a different UC, out of state, etc., perhaps SJV Prime is a better fit. Regardless of which, both are still concerned with training doctors for the Central Valley. Now, in terms of San Joaquin Valley in particular, and the branch campus of UCSF Fresno, an additional group gets the option of SJV Med Bridge. The reason why I'm highlighting this is because, again, in this audience, there might be students that have community college credit and ask all the time about whether or not they can, SJV Prime Plus will let them enter medical school early. We'll get into those questions at the end, but again, wanted to make sure you knew all the options available to you regarding SJV, and some of these might be more fit for you, but we are going to cover SJV Prime Plus because this is the season to apply, and it is the only one where high school seniors are eligible to apply. When you are no longer a high school senior, cannot reapply to this program. What I also want you to note is the new deadline date of November 20th for your UC application if you are submitting this fall. So this is not the regular deadline after Thanksgiving of December 2nd for this year. We need your UC application prior to that in order to give you the links for the rest of the application. But again, we'll go into that in a second. So in general, SJV Prime Plus overview is that it is a workforce development program. It is not a get into medical school program. It is a workforce development program specifically to make sure there are trained doctors for the Central Valley. It is an 8-year program with 12 to 15 students cohort, beginning as brand new incoming freshmen. Those that finish this program will be getting their medical degree from the UCSF School of Medicine after completing their Bachelor's of Science here at UC Merced and finishing all of their clinical medical training at UCSF Fresno. And again, these are our partners with UCSF School of Medicine as the MD degree and degree granting institution. UC Merced and UCSF is the branch campus. UC Merced is the site for the bachelor's program and the first 1.5 years of medical school, and the remaining 2.5 years of medical school at UCSF Fresno. So the process is to apply as a high school senior. You start at UC Merced and finish in Fresno. It is an 8-year program with 4 years of your Bachelor's of Science and 4 years of your medical degree. The medical school, first year of medical school will begin with cohort 1 students starting that portion of their program in the new medical education building that opens in the fall of 2026. The remainder of their program will be at UCSF Fresno. Now, in terms of the medical education building itself, that's going to open in fall of 2026. The primary programs and departments that will house that building is the Department of Public Health, Psychological Sciences, and Health Sciences Research Institute, as well as MedEd. So what actually is this offer for someone that applies and gets admitted? The actual offer is a financial award based on their individual application and financial package, priority registration in the core courses for their degree program and for medical school. The students that live on the campus will also be living on the same floor of other pre-meds, and the MCAT is not required to enter and get a spot for medical school. A conditional acceptance is offered along with the UC admissions offer, and this conditional acceptance will turn into a regular admissions after their assessment of their performance during their bachelor's degree. And then throughout the 8 years, there's community engagement, volunteerism, research, clinical observation, and mentorship throughout the journey. In terms of notification that go out in March, there's 3 different kinds of notifications: offer, waitlist, or no offer. So for the application itself, there are several components that we are going to be requiring a student to submit. First and foremost is number 1, the UC application. Again, this is due on November 20th. This application is required because you're getting into the UC and UC is awarding you your bachelor's degree. The second should be considered the medical school application. It is the Prime Plus supplemental questions with 6 questions that the School of Medicine is interested in. Short responses like PIQs, 350 words. And then the third component to submit are 2 letters of recommendations, but what you're actually submitting as a student is the names and emails of your 2 recommenders. And then we invite people to interview. Specific to qualifying for this program, we are asking students to actually complete their Bachelor's of Science in anything that is in green or yellow. Anything green and yellow has been approved by the Academic Senate at UC Merced, as well as the UCSF School of Medicine faculty. And they have agreed that these are so far the majors that line up exactly to the requirements of medical school without increasing someone's time during the undergraduate program or even lessening it. And what I've highlighted there in pink is just to give you some foreshadowing of the upcoming new majors for UC Merced that perhaps in the future would get approved by the School of Medicine. If that's the case, then that would also be a qualifying major. Compared to the UC application and the UC PIQ specifically, the supplemental questions are 6 questions that the School of Medicine is interested in. These are different than the 8 questions which students pick to choose 4 of in the UC application, where you're responding with 350 words and then you tying that into your experience, personal or academic. The audience for the supplemental application questions and responses is a medical audience. This would be clinical physicians, medical researchers, medical faculty from all 3 campuses, UCSF, UC Merced, and UCSF Fresno. So keep this in mind that perhaps copying, pasting, or using similar examples, while that is okay, it may be a missed opportunity to share something in a new perspective to a medical audience compared to the regular university audience. As a reminder, the supplemental questions are actually already posted, just like the UC PIQs are posted. So these 6 questions have been up since August, and these are the 6 questions students should answer. You don't have to wait until November 20th or when you submit your application, your UC application to get the link. You could already be working on it now so that when you do get the link, it's just a matter of uploading your responses. So in visual summary of how to apply, you would turn in your UC application before November 20th. And you would, in that application, you would have to pick UC Merced as one of your campuses because SJV Prime Plus is at this campus. In addition, when you're selecting your majors, you would have to pick an SJV Prime Plus qualifying major track in order to receive the supplemental application link to upload your responses. It is in the supplemental application link where you also submit the names and emails of your letters of recommenders. And then us as a campus and our computer system will contact your recommenders directly. You will not be uploading a letter for them. So in terms of the upcoming process for this application season that you've already probably jumped into, the UC application it can be submitted as early as October 1st. For us, the UC application deadline is November 20th if you want to be considered for Prime Plus. The rest of the application components are due on December 3rd. We expect to do interviews in January, February, and then March is when we send out all of our notifications. These will be separate notifications. The UC will send out their notification to which campuses you've been accepted to. A separate notification last year was the financial aid package. And so the third notification will actually be the response to Prime Plus. And so those are the notifications that will go out in March. And then what typically happens in April is students and families start visiting all the campuses they've been admitted to. So we wait to see whether or not you want to join our program. But we also invite you to the open house of Bobcat Day, which is April 19th, where you can actually meet the other students who have been admitted. You can meet the faculty and all the partners regarding SJV Prime Plus. And May 1st is the deadline to accept your offer. Once someone has been offered, I think the typical question I always get asked is, what does course load look like if I were in this program? So what you see here on this screen is a sample of someone's freshman year in biological sciences, human biology. So being pre-med somewhere else, you could probably be taking less units, but what we want to highlight is not only are our Prime Plus students trying to finish their degree and they have degree coursework for their semester, they're also taking pre-med classes as well as SJV classes specifically. If you were to be pre-med somewhere else, you're not required to do medical writing or academic writing. You're not required to do research, and you wouldn't be required to take classes specific to SJV. So that is a comparison. If you were to be pre-med somewhere else, we do make sure that all SJV Prime Plus scholars have everything they need to be successful starting medical school. And so we do front load coursework and preparation their freshman and sophomore year so that by their junior and senior year, they can jump into research because medical students do research during their 4 years. Next, after the 4 years of the bachelor's degree, this is the 4-year medical school curriculum. I get asked all the time whether or not students in our program are going to get the same education that a regular UCSF medical student gets. The answer is yes. This is a UCSF School of Medicine program. It is their curriculum. It is their trained faculty. And for the medical education faculty for all programs, Foundation 1 as well as Foundation 2. Foundation 1, which is highlighted in red, is what is going to be conducted in the medical education building for the first year and a half. Everything in blue, the last 2.5 years, is done at UCSF Fresno, which is considered Foundations 2 and Career Launch. Again, after the BS, a student stays at UC Merced in order to start the first year and a half of medical school, and then all of the clinical rotations and training next to the bedside of those who are sick and injured, and supervision with preceptors and attendings. That all happens at UCSF Fresno. So the journey to being a doctor is a quick snapshot on this screen. If you intend to apply, we're asking you to apply as a high school senior right now, with your application due on November 20th. When we say this is an 8-year program, we are referencing 4 years of the undergraduate degree and 4 years of medical school. The purpose of medical school is to train someone to be a doctor. And then at the 4th year of medical school, you are applying for your residency. So medical school is to help you to become a doctor, but you're not licensed yet. Someone's physician license actually happens during residency, and it is residency where we're asking you to apply for residency in the Central Valley. So what that could look like is, oh, I got matched as a cardiologist at Kaiser and Modesto, or I got matched as a pediatrician at the Children's Hospital in Fresno, or I got matched in neurology at Adventist Health in Bakersfield. Those are examples of what match day would look like. And someone then moves into their residency as a paid physician, completing their license, as well as moving on to fellowship if you want to get extra training as a surgeon or in a specialty like oncology. But again, this is a quick snapshot of what 8 years would look like of undergrad and medical school. So what is it we're looking for? In terms of an ideal applicant, there's 4 main themes that we're looking for. First and foremost is academic rigor. This is probably pretty obvious because the academic rigor does not stop in terms of undergrad or medical school. And we want to know that you're going to be comfortable in math and science because of the field of medicine. The second is that you've demonstrated something of focus and commitment, and that you're dedicated to a particular interest, whether it's personal or extracurricular or academic. Because this is an 8-year program, we want to see that you've, again, demonstrated a long-term commitment to something or a steady commitment to something. And the last 2 is very important to us that we list it twice. It's related to San Joaquin Valley. So San Joaquin Valley, San Joaquin Valley, San Joaquin Valley. That you have been volunteering, engaging in the community, maybe doing research, or in some way, shape, or form serving those in need here in the San Joaquin Valley, and that you're committed to staying in the Valley. More requirements academically. The minimum requirements for UC or CSU is that you complete the A through G requirements. If you want to be pre-med ready, we're asking that you complete as much math and science as possible. And in terms of science, we're looking for science with lab. Again, this is just going to continue to medical school. So continue with A through G coursework while adding more math and science. And then in terms of writing communication, I think you noticed from the course load that I showed is there's going to be medical writing and academic writing that is required of our students, and then they'll jump into research. So there's different forms of writing. And at some point, we're asking students to, if they're not already comfortable with, they're going to get skilled and trained in reading academic journals and articles and presenting scientific posters. This, again, should be the direction and the focus that somebody goes to because science and medicine, the delivery of information in science and medicine is through academic journals and posters. And then again, a dedication to something academic or personal commitment. Can you stick with something over a long period of time in terms of focus? And you show that on your UC application, explain it more in your PIQs as well as your supplemental. And again, service and volunteerism specific to Central Valley, San Joaquin Valley, your local area, your community, organizations in your community. We're looking for those particularly for Central Valley. In terms of the resources that are available to you, we have a new front and back flyer that is downloadable on our website. If you go to the main page, landing page, and scroll past the video prompt, you will see a yellow button that says download Prime Plus flyer. The difference between this flyer and last year is we've added the back where it gives the exact directions on how to apply. And then we've added some additional resources on how to be pre-med ready or prepare for a medical career. If there's questions I haven't answered here on this webinar, there's also a frequently asked questions button if you go to the website. In terms of webinar, you may have found that our schedule in terms of this method is our future events page or the menu on the right, again, on our landing page for BS to MD. As a reminder, again, there might be different people who are thinking about this or just heard about it and trying to understand the complexities of medical school or healthcare in general. We are an MD program, and this program is intended to have you complete an MD degree and become a physician in any of those specialties. If you are already in a health pathway at a high school, that might give you preparation in terms of CNA, Certified Nurse's Aide, or you've been interested in something else. There are other schools that you would be applying to, and SJV Prime Plus would not be the program. Again, SJV Prime Plus and all UC Schools of Medicine are MD programs. If you are interested in the other health professional programs, UC Merced does have pre-health advising to prepare you for those schools. And so we do invite you to still consider UC Merced as a pre-health campus for you in your undergraduate program. Whichever you should choose to decide, whether you do SJV Prime Plus, a San Joaquin Valley program specifically, or another UC Prime, we want you to be doctors. And so the two things that are needed, no matter what, wherever you go, it is to complete the degree as well as prepare for the healthcare field. And again, hopefully you've gotten distinctions between the different pathways as well as the different degrees and coursework to help you decide. And a reminder, November 20th is the Prime Plus UC application deadline in order for us to send you the supplemental application. And then the letters of rec and those supplemental responses are due on December 3rd. Moving forward in terms of our next webinars starting next month, they will all be application workshops and more specifically detailing each of those components with some resources and tips, but as well as demoing the new platform, which is different than the UC platform for submission. And that is the end of the webinar. My info is here in terms of phone number and email, and I turn it over now to any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Noreen. Once again, you've knocked it out of the park. Another fantastic presentation about the SJV Prime Plus BS to MD program. We do have some questions rolling in, and in case one of our listeners has not yet sent in their question, now is your opportunity to do that. Go ahead and click on the Q&A button and get those questions sent in. Now, the first one I would like us to start with, what is the difference about this program and getting a regular MD?
The difference between our program and a regular MD program, there are several. One is when you apply. Our program wants you to apply as a high school senior in order to start the 8-year program with the cohort. A regular MD program, you are actually applying the spring of your junior year during undergrad. The other difference is we are asking you to complete a BS. Actually, for medical school, you can have a BA or a BS and you can major in anything. And that is one of the differences. And you, on your own, prepare for all the requirements for medical school. For this program, we are outlining and packaging everything together for the cohort and for all students to have all of their skills, training, and courses needed for medical school. We are following them along the way. They are getting mentorship along the way. And they are also we are also making sure they're prepared at the end of the program. In the assessment, as they are getting advised each year, we will tell them if they're on track or not on track. What is different about being pre-med somewhere else is you're doing this on your own. And it does give you the most flexibility if you want to create your own journey. But we've structured the program for 8 years for a cohort with specific requirements, and we want you to get the BS. But in the end, it's still an MD program.
Fantastic. The next question. So students who complete the SJV Prime Plus program, are they required to then stay in the Central Valley after graduation to actually become a doctor and work here in the Valley?
That's the intent. When we are looking for students to admit, we're asking that they're going to stay in the Valley. I think the first slide is the most important for us in terms of our intent and our focus. We are trying to train doctors for the area that needs it the most, and the area that needs it the most is the Central Valley. If you do not want to stay in the Central Valley, the recommendation is to apply to a regular MD program that isn't region focused. We are definitely region focused.
Perfect. And then someone is letting us know that they noticed that there are specific majors that folks can apply for, part of SJV Prime Plus, part of this program. Can they also, or is it a possibility for them to also have a minor alongside of that major?
Actually, a lot of our students in the cohorts do come in with a lot of college credits, a lot of AP credits, a lot of units coming in, also because their schools that they went to allowed them to do dual enrollment. So in this case, they do have some credits that have already been satisfied, and they are encouraged to get a minor or to double major. So yes.
Very good. And then let's talk about financial aid. Do we offer financial aid as part of this program?
When I mentioned the notifications in March, one is the UC offer, two is financial aid. That particular financial aid is based on the individual's application, and that particular financial aid is about the undergraduate program. Someone's financial aid into medical school will not be determined until the senior year of the bachelor's program.
Very good. And then is the acceptance binding?
So in terms of whether or not someone is bound to a contract, that does not occur until you have actually accepted your SIR, your statement of intent to register. So when all notifications go out in March and you have been offered a Prime Plus spot and a UC Merced spot, you do not have to accept it, but you would have the deadline of May 1st to accept it. What you're actually accepting is not just the UC Merced offer, but you're accepting the School of Medicine offer and saying, yes, I want my School of Medicine spot. It becomes binding after you've signed the contract saying, I intend to come to UC Merced and I intend to complete the 8 years, 4 years of the bachelor's and 4 years of medical school.
Very good. And then can a student receive one-on-one support from someone like an admissions officer if they have questions about the application?
Besides the application webinar, currently there are limited one-on-one appointments, but the October schedule for my one-on-one appointments is not out yet. So the answer is yes, but it's very difficult to get one-on-one appointments right now. We do encourage you to go to an application workshop, but just email us primeplus@ucmerced.edu if you're looking for a one-on-one.
Perfect. And then is there any required minimum GPA to be guaranteed to go to UCSF Medical School?
The students in Prime Plus must complete the program with the 3.6 or higher. The undergraduate program with 3.6 or higher.
And can someone apply for both the Prime Plus and the regular BS program?
Yes, but well, let me back up and say a student can apply for Prime Plus during their high school senior year. Someone that applies for Prime is applying the spring semester of their junior year of undergrad. So all options are available to you, but the first one that's in your sights is Prime Plus if you apply now.
Perfect. And then I know this is a popular question as well. Is this program only for high school students and also only for high school students in the SJV area in those counties?
So this program definitely is the only BS to MD program out of the Prime options. And in terms of it being the only BS to MD, it is the only one that is available for first-time freshmen, high school senior graduates. If you've been a freshman somewhere else, you're considered a transfer student, and it's not available to transfer our undergrads. And the second part of the question, Ricky?
Yes, so the second part, well, both of them was one, is it just for high school students? And the other part was just for high school students from the SJV county area.
So because the most competitive applicants are the ones who have direct service, direct experience for the local area, as well as any research or direct ties to the community, they are the ones that are the most competitive, even though we do get applications from outside the area.
Very good. And then what if someone comes in and they've already completed their associate's degree? Are they able to apply for this program? Does it help them at all?
As long as your associate's degree was completed during dual enrollment and you weren't considered a freshman at the community college that you completed that AA or AS. So yes, we do know that high school students have the ability to do dual enrollment as well as complete the AA and AS. As long as you're a first-time freshman, you can be considered for this program. And we do, again, have students that have a lot of college credit coming in.
Great. Now, if someone is interested in a specific, like a particular specialty, and that may not be available in this area, how do they go about getting that residency when they're at that stage?
They would work during any Prime Plus scholar that is looking at a specific specialty, works with their with the medical school staff during their third and fourth year, which is considered career launch. And it is during career launch that you talk out the options with with your mentors, and they will guide you on where the open residencies are for that specialty. We do recognize that some specialties are not here in the area, and then they will guide you directly in terms of which residencies are open.
Okay, great. So then if we don't offer that specialty here, will that impact their admission decision?
Well, the admissions has already been offered to you. The admissions has been offered to you for the 8 years. So you've been offered the Bachelor of Science portion, and you've been offered the medical school spot. If you've already begun medical school, the point is to finish the 8-year program with your BS and your MD. We do recognize that residency could be somewhere else because of certain specialties.
And is there a way to take any type of summer class to speed up the 8-year process?
The students are in our program right now, so there's no requirement right now for any part of the curriculum to occur during the summer. If our Prime Plus scholars are taking something in the summer, it's because they don't want the overloaded semester with 18 to 20 units. The ones that I'm familiar with that are taking summer programs, it's mainly math. Because there's a certain sequence you have to take that if it's not done in that sequence, then you start missing out on the upper division coursework. Yeah. Did I answer that question?
Yes.
Okay.
And can this group of students, this population, are they eligible for study abroad?
That is on a case-by-case basis. It has been a discussion, but there's no overall policy for it. We would just be working with the student directly who is interested.
Great. And then based on their major selection, does that play any role in their admissions decision?
Can that question be asked differently? So we're not looking to admit a certain amount of students in Prime Plus with a certain amount within a specific major. So we're not looking like at 5 biological sciences, 5 bioengineering, or 5 public health, if that's where your question is.
I think that is where they were going with.
Okay.
Is there one in particular that would maybe get them a better opportunity, or if they picked another?
No, it's an equal
down the list.
It's an equal opportunity for all of those majors.
Excellent. All right, let's see what else we have coming in. Oh, how diverse is the population of the current students that are in the current SJV Prime Plus program?
The definition of diverse. They represent probably 7 or 8 of the 9 counties. Diverse everything, gender, ethnicity, race, yeah. Diverse high schools, types of high schools.
Very good. And then let's talk a bit about the PIQs. So do we see the 4 PIQs when they answer the regular UC application, or just the 6 supplemental? So maybe just to kind of generalize that, Are they the same PIQ questions that are on the UC application?
Yeah, so the UC application is a requirement for Prime Plus. The SJV Prime Plus committee will see the UC app, the PIQs, the supplementals, and the letters of rec. So when I mentioned the 3 components that get submitted, all of those will be seen by the committee.
Perfect. And then if someone applies to the Prime Plus program, but they don't get in, would they still be eligible to go to UC Merced for undergrad, but maybe as a regular pre-med student?
Yes, so I mentioned earlier that in March, there's probably going to be 3 notices: the UC notice, the financial aid notice, and the Prime Plus. If you've been accepted to the program, or if you've not been accepted to the program, it does not take away your UC Merced admission. So yes, you can come to UC Merced as a pre-med student, and we've had many pre-med students because Prime Plus did not exist before. So there are other options for regular pre-med students on campus, not just in terms of classes, but clubs and even living and learning communities.
And can we explain again what the blind review, what does that term mean? Blind review for their application?
Sure. So when we're asking for you to complete the application, first and foremost will be at the top is usually your name, some personal identifying information about you. That is actually blind to the committee. Your name, your age, your ethnicity, your language, your birth date, your race. And so those kinds of identity parameters are actually hidden. The committee will not know any of those when they're reviewing the application. That is what's considered a blind review. If there is something important to you about your identity, in that it helps, it is part of how you experience the world, your perspective, how you interact with others. If there's influences to that, your cultural background, or any of the things that I've mentioned, you have to expand on it on your UC PIQs or your supplemental.
And I don't know if we'll even have the answer to this one, but it was asked, is there a specific city in the Valley that receives the most acceptance to this program?
So we have, this is just our, we've only had 2 cohorts. This is the season where we're looking for our 3rd cohort, and there is no one area, and it's not actually decided that way either in terms of admissions.
Very good. And when did the new majors for the SJV Prime Plus become available at UC Merced? I know you mentioned that we already have some, and there was that slide that then was talking about others that later on will be implemented.
So currently, the majors that are listed are on the bottom right-hand corner of the SJV Prime Plus flyer, or it is on the landing page for BS to MD. There are no new majors this year. Last year, the addition was public health. So anything in green and yellow is still the same as last year. In talking to some of the other academic departments and asking, hey, for example, will neuroscience be a qualifying major in the future? That is the hope in the future, but it is not for this round.
Great. And then can someone also apply for the SJV program while they're completing the UC application? Is there a specific section to indicate their interest in receiving additional information about the Prime Plus program?
Besides attending this webinar, if you go to the website on the landing page below, probably above the button for the flyer, it'll say request info. So you can hit that button, hit request info, and plug in your details. In terms of the UC application, in order to indicate that you're intending to apply for Prime Plus and that you want the supplemental application link, you have to pick a qualifying major that says Prime Plus.
And will all the applicants be interviewed, or are interviews conducted after the application is already reviewed?
Okay, so I'll answer the first part. The second question kind of threw me off. The first part is not everyone is going to be interviewed. That's going to be decided after reviewing the first 3 components.
Very good. I think that's basically the gist of it. So if you apply, do you get a guaranteed interview, or we have a certain number of applications, they get reviewed, and then that's narrowed down to a selection for interview. And then from the interview, then we choose who's a part of the cohort.
Yes, so the application will go through different rounds of screening. And at the end of those screenings, it is decided who gets invited to interview. We will not be interviewing everyone.
And as a medical student, do they get priority for rotation in Fresno?
I'm not understanding the question. All the rotations will be at UCSF Fresno. Is that?
It's the person who asked that question. Maybe you can submit again in the Q&A section and let us know a little bit more detail in case we didn't get to the root actually of what you were asking on that one.
And the follow-up is if you want to search for UCSF Bridges curriculum, then you will find the details about rotations.
And during this program, is there any type of specialty that they get more exposure to than another?
If you look at UCSF Fresno's website, and if you look at their department list, you'll see the potential for the rotations because that's the departments that are at UCSF Fresno. It is possible that students, either prime students or prime plus students, do get field trips to the Parnassus campus in San Francisco. But the majority of the program, all of the program is in UCSF Fresno.
And can we define kind of the definition of what we mean when we say deep ties to the Central Valley and SJV?
So it's instead of defining deep ties, the focus should probably be on a student's contribution to the Central Valley in terms of time, in terms of volunteerism, research, engagement with the community and people here, especially related to those in need medically or health-wise, or to populations that are in need, whether that is homeless or another group. So I don't want to magnify and deter people from the main focus. So deep ties, a student can explain to us their deep ties, but there is a competitiveness from students who have direct experience in the Central Valley.
Great. And then how does someone find out whether or not they will be interviewed? Do we email them or give them a call?
Email invitations will go out to students that are invited to interview. The application workshop will be helpful for some of these questions because when we demo the platform, that is the portal that will show you the status of your Prime Plus application, the status of your letters of rec, and I think there is a status bar about interview. So I invite all of you to consider participating in one of the application workshops in terms of seeing where your application has moved through next.
Great. And then for the personal insight questions, when it comes to activities that demonstrate our commitment and passion, do they have to be medically related, or can they use other activities to also demonstrate their commitment?
So the Central California, San Joaquin Valley is very diverse. And so you define and explain to us how you've engaged with communities here, and you define community. Some people define that culturally, some people define that by like someone's profession or an industry, or some people define it religiously, whatever, or even generationally by age or youth or elderly. You define where you've made your contribution, even if it's not medical or health.
Very good. And then do they sign some type of contract or commitment when they're going through this program at some point to make a promise that they will stay in the San Joaquin Valley?
So currently, the first contract that is signed is accepting the School of Medicine offer. it is in that contract that you're agreeing to complete the Bachelor of Science at UC Merced and agreeing to complete the MD through this pathway and finishing at UCSF Fresno. I do not have the answer of whether or not there's an additional contract once you start medical school or once you're applying for residency. At this point, the only contract we give a high school student is once they've been offered and they want to accept their UC Merced spot and they want to accept the School of Medicine spot that we've been given them.
And our SJV Prime Plus scholars, are they able to choose their own electives?
For each degree program, there's a set of electives that someone can choose from. So we don't dictate which electives a student chooses, just that they've completed those requirements.
And do we have an average of what the high school GPA is for an incoming student into one of these cohorts?
Because we are a small cohort, we do not give out those statistics at this time. But if you look at the UC Merced View Book on the very last page, it actually gives the admissions GPA in general for UC Merced. And the majority of our students are at the top of that range.
Very good. And then our students or applicants, are they allowed to have a gap year between high school and their application?
We've gotten this question a lot, but there is no way for me to assess whether someone took a gap year. But we get this question a lot. But we're not going to go back and see that someone has graduated within 9 months or a year and a half. Like, we care that they're a first-time freshman and they haven't been a freshman somewhere else.
And do we recommend volunteer hours? Does that play a big role in getting accepted into the program?
No, we do not calculate volunteer hours. We know that on the UC application, it's giving you a spot to list the average time you've committed to certain extracurricular activities, but the committee is not quantifying that in itself and then putting some rankings or anything like that. They are using it more for a holistic and contextual interpretation.
Good. And then what happens if while you're in the program, you don't receive the minimum GPA? Do we rescind their offer?
No, so I think I mentioned before, every year a Prime Plus scholar gets assessed. So they're required to meet with their academic advisor every semester. They're required to meet with their pre-health advisor, which is the Prime Plus advisor, every semester. And so we will catch students early who are below the 3.6, and the answer is no, they don't get kicked out of the program immediately. We want to make sure students are successful, so we track them and make sure they're getting the support that they need. If there is no pattern of improvement or progress, there's a process with the leadership and the committee to help the student determine whether the program is right for them.
How would this program potentially help someone in the field of forensics, specifically a field of forensic pathology?
So I'm going to reword this question by saying, if you're interested in forensics, you should ask yourself what kind of doctor is involved in forensics. And so this program is leading to an MD degree to be a clinical physician and practicing physician. So the better question is, what kinds of physicians are involved in forensic medicine? And that's what you should be looking for as a specialty.
Great. And then someone has written in saying that they're curious about how class ranking and GPA are calculated at the medical school if a student completes medical education outside of the San Francisco campus.
I'm not understanding the question.
Okay, the one last little piece here. This may be an important factor in residency matching was a comment that they also included.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, these are very detailed questions that I'm not going to broach right now for this audience. Feel free to email that question, and then I will connect with the UCSF Fresno folks or direct you to them who can answer that question.
And then is it possible to attend UC Merced as a regular pre-med and adopt the same major as Prime Plus scholars, plus take the exact same pre-med courses that they take in preparation for their own application to medical school at UCSF or another medical school program? I can read again if you need me to. It's a long one.
It was the last part. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so the whole thing again. Is it possible to attend UC Merced as a regular pre-med and adopt the same major as Prime Plus scholars and take the exact same pre-med courses that they take in preparation for their own application to medical school at UCSF?
Okay. So the easier way to answer this question is if SJV Prime Plus never existed, we have always had pre-med students come to UC Merced. So we do have pre-med students who do prepare for medical school with the regular academic coursework that's available, with the community engagement programs, clubs, organizations, and pre-health advising support. So hopefully that covers it, and the answer is yes.
Perfect. And I know we mentioned a gap year a second ago, but there's another question here. Can you take a gap year specifically when you're in the program, in your undergrad years? Can you take a gap year?
As a Prime Plus student?
I believe so.
So the answer, I'm going to answer this question with a no. And the reason is because we want you to complete the MD degree in the 8-year window. So a gap year is adding more time, and it's adding a 9th year, and they're wanting to project when somebody's ready to be a doctor, also projecting when somebody's going to enter medical school. So someone's medical school spot is not available to them early or later. It's available to them the 5th year of the 8. And then the projection of when matches and completion of the MD degree. Again, it's not beyond, we don't want it to be beyond the 8 years.
Very good. Now, this is just a quick reminder to everyone as we are getting closer to wrapping up this great event tonight. If you haven't yet opened up your chat box, I highly recommend that you do that now. Caitlin behind the scenes has been sending out so many fun links, so you want to make sure that you start clicking on those, and that way you can bookmark those or read them at your leisure later on, because they all are complementing everything that Noreen has been answering tonight. So make sure that you do take a quick second, open the chat box, start clicking on all those links. Your browser windows will start popping open, and you can continue to read on here in just a moment once we do wrap up. All right, and also there is another link in the chat box specifically for the upcoming events. So other virtual events like this one, other webinars, we do have several more that are specific to the SJV Prime Plus program. So make sure that you do go ahead and get yourself registered for one of those workshops that are coming up in the next couple of months. And like I said, that link is over into the chat area. And look at that, there is our handy dandy slide that has everything there for you to give you those dates and times. So make sure that you can scan that QR code, take a screenshot, hop over to the website, whatever is easiest for you, and get yourself registered. All right, let's see if we have any other quick questions here as we are getting close to wrapping up. I think we may have gotten to most of them here.
Okay, and I'm just going to add one more thing in these slides here. If you're interested, we do have a 1.5-minute video if you want to see what the projected medical education building is going to look like, and how Med Ed is growing. So there's a QR code there as well as the link, and we're excited about things that are happening here. We hope that you apply for the Prime Plus program and consider being a doctor for the Central Valley.
Fantastic. And I think with that, this is a great opportunity here. Like she said, go ahead and scan that QR code, take a little quick look at that video. And I think with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this evening. Just make sure that you do take a look at those links, that you get yourself signed up for a future event. We would not want you to miss out on one of those opportunities to go ahead and hop back over with us and ask more questions, because that's what we're here for. We have content experts here. We would love for you to apply to this program if it's something that you're interested in. And Noreen, do you have any other last words tonight?
Not at all. We're just thank you for joining us here tonight.
Yes, thank you all so much. If you haven't taken a campus tour, go ahead and go over to that website, get yourself signed up, or even unofficially, just if you happen to be passing through the Merced area, go ahead and swing by campus. You can always just take a little stroll on your own. And as I said one last time, go ahead and click on those links in the chat box, get yourself registered for another upcoming event. You will see us all here once again, both on screen and behind the scenes. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill, your e-recruiter. Thank you so much to my dear friend Noreen for being here tonight, as well as everyone behind the scenes. We hope to see you again very soon. Have a fantastic night, everyone.